fail to make the distinction between power and authority and competence, and they're afraid of power, and so they destroy authority and competence.
We all experience roadblocks in our lives. At times, it seems as if these obstacles happen much more often than they don't. But when they happen, don't stop. Stop saying things that make you a weak person. Be conscious as to whether the words you are saying are helping or hurting you, and make everything you say as true as you can make it. Speak from the core of your being, and you may realize that you eliminate most of the things you are saying. By remaining true to your values and yourself, you can create a more positive vocabulary that isn't harmful to your progress. Human beings create their own values. These values are shaped by our motivations and personalities. With that being said, you are not always the master of your own house. You have a will and can control many things in your life, but there are other things you can't. Dreams, impulses, and even things you're interested in are all things that you have no say in. Your subpersonalities take charge of these ideas and drive them from within. Accept that you may not always have the ability to fully control everything that you experience. When things are working out, then you're happy. But negative emotions are far more potent than the positive ones. This means you react more often and more impulsively to negative experiences in your life. These losses hurt more than the gains are rewarded. Work on controlling your reactions to negative experiences and learning from these moments to better prevent them in the future. More importantly, when you experience loss or failure, you need to keep moving forward.
We want to keep moving beyond what we have, even if what we have is what we want. You can go there and you can learn all this, and you might think, well, why should you learn it? Well, you learn it to get a job, or you learn it to get good grades, or you learn it to get a degree, and that's all nonsense. It's nonsense. The reason that you come to university to be educated is because there is nothing more powerful than someone who is articulate and who can think and speak. It's power, and I mean power of the best sort. It's authority and influence and respectability and competence. And so you come to university to craft your highest skill, and your highest skill is to be found in articulated speech. If you're a master at formulating your arguments, you win everything. And better than that, when you win everything, everyone around you wins too. Because to transform yourself into, let's consider your transformation into something approximating the logos, it means you shine a light on the whole world. Well, there's nothing more exciting to do than that. There's nothing better you can possibly do. And to think that you're coming to university to be, trained to have a job, it's like, great, that's a hell of a lot better than being unemployed and covered with Cheeto dust while you're snacking away in front of your video game in the basement. Immigrants have necessity driving them, and you don't know how much you need necessity to drive you because maybe you're not very disciplined, and if a catastrophe doesn't immediately befall you if you don't act forthrightly today, then maybe you never act forthrightly, right? Because the gap between your foolishness and the punishment is lengthened by your unearned wealth, and so you never grow up and learn, and you have to get yourself away from your dependency in order to allow necessity to drive you forward. And that's to become independent and to become mature. And I think part of what's happening in our culture is that the force that's attacking the forthright movement forward of young men in particular is afraid of the power of men because it's confused about the distinction between power and authority and competence. And a man who has authority and competence has power as a byproduct, but the authority and competence is everything.
These words that are bandied about like vision and leadership, you can drill down into them very hard and start to make some sense out of them if you're willing to grapple with them at the level of detail. And I do a lot of that in this book because a lot of it is about orienting yourself in your life. And so here's something, for example. We know that, imagine that you have your employees write out a business plan for their own development, right? So the plan would be, how can I become a better employee? And then you have half your employees do that, and the other half you have write out a different plan, which is, how can I put my life together properly? And then you wait a year and you measure the performance of the two groups. Is the people who make the life plan outperform the people who make the business plan? And that's really quite a stunning finding, really. It's not what you'd expect. And what it means is that if you're going to be effective at work, then you should first of all be effective in your life. And even more importantly, if you have a vision for the direction of your life, and your job is serving that purpose, then instantly your job becomes motivating. Because you might be sitting there and thinking, well, why am I doing this repetitive and rather dull task with these people that I'm not particularly interested in?
Look at what it is that people accrue that's valuable across the lifespan. So you do a structural analysis of the subcomponents of human existence, and already did that. You need a family, you need friends. Like, you don't need to have all these things, but you better have most of them. Family, friends, career, educational goals, plans for, time outside of work, attention to your mental and physical health, etc. That's what life is about. And if you don't have any of those things, well, then all you've got left is misery and suffering. So that's a bad deal for you. So once you set up that goal structure, let's say, and that's really in many ways that's what you should be doing at university. That's exactly what you should be doing, is trying to figure out who it is that you're trying to be, right? And you aim at that. And then you use everything you learn as a means of building that person that you want to be. And I really mean want to be. I don't mean should be, even those things are going to overlap. And it's important to distinguish between those, because that's partly, and this is back down to the micro-routine analysis. So if I was saying, well, you're going to try to make yourself more industrious.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content.